everyone, this is Nancy with Poor Attitude and Other Arts. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for all the wonderful comments you guys made about my birch tree painting that I did last week. And that I've also been selected to be in December as featured artist of our local magazine here in Loveland, Colorado called Loveland Lifestyles. Okay, so here's the video you all have been asking me for and how it was done. Okay, so the colors are going to be listed below. So let's go ahead and get started with this. As you can see, I've already leveled everything and we are ready to go. This is going to be a swipe and tilt for our background, and we're going to let it dry for 3 days, and then we're going to do our trees on top of that. So let's get started here. As you can see, it's a 24 by 36 that we're going to be working on today. So let's get started here. So the colors that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 9 colors, and then my swipe color is going to be white for the background because I want it to look a little bit wintry like I did on the other painting. Okay, so here we go. Get my hair off of there. All right. So we're going to start off with some Laguna by Apple Barrel. All of my paints have been mixed with 1 part paint, 2 parts Floetrol, and if it is not running like warm honey, then I add a few drops of water till it is. Don't get carried away with the water. I've done that many a times and had to put in more paint. So I'm not doing any particular pattern, but I do want to make sure that this whole canvas is going to be covered before we do a swipe. So I'm just pouring my color on, and I'm going to save a little bit of each color just in case I decide I want that particular color in a certain spot. All right, so this one is Blue Jean Blue. Okay, and that's by Liquitex Basics. So let's pour some of that on. Isn't that a pretty color? And like I said, I'm not doing anything specific. Make sure you go down your sides on this, and we'll take care of the actual sides later, but I meant on the canvas itself. So I can save a little bit of that. This is also Blue Jean Blue, but it has a little bit of white added to it. Now, some of these colors don't look like they vary very much, but they actually will make a huge difference in the amount of color, tones, and depth that you get with your painting. Okay? So I am just going to save a little bit of that one. All right, now this one here is Anita's. The Island Blue is what we're going on this one here. So, and as you can see, it runs like warm honey, leaves just a little bit of a mound. All right. There we go on that. Save a little bit of that. Okay, this one is white with a little bit of gray and blue because we're going for the icy look. So we want it to look icy. Doesn't look like I'm saving a whole lot of these here. All right, this one here is FolkArt Light Flesh. Now to me it was a little bit too bright, so I put a little bit of black, just a few drops. Don't get carried away with the black because it will take over whatever painting you put it in. But I wanted it not to be quite as bright as the actual flesh color. This one I'm not saving any of. I'm just going to go ahead and put it all on here. Okay, it's looking pretty colorful out there. All right, now we got some grays here. So we got two different grays. We got just a drop of black in the white because we don't want it to be pure white. But we do want it to be very, very light color gray. By the way, there is no silicone in any of these, okay? So we're doing this without silicone. It's the Floetrol that is going to make your cells. Okay, and if you do the right mixtures, no guarantee, but the majority of the time, it will come out with plenty of them. All right, now we're going to put in a little metallic, the only one. This is sterling silver by FolkArt. And I'm just kind of drizzling this one on because I kind of want it everywhere, but I don't want it extremely thick anywhere with lines. So I'm just kind of drizzling this stuff on. So as you can see, it's not up to the edges. And this is my last one to put on. So I'm going to do just a little bit of maintenance there by tilting a bit and getting it to the edges, maybe moving it over with a stick. Let's see how that works. Let's do a little bit of tilting. Alright, I'm just going to move it over with my finger here, just so the whole canvas is covered. See, just me using my fingers there are making cells. That's all. Very easy painting. Just going to cover those up just a little bit there. It's over the edge. Okay, looks like we are ready for that. Okay, now let me get my tool that I'm going to swipe this all with. Depending on how big the canvas is, I'm going to use a paper towel. Now I can cut these paper towels to the size that I need. Now the way I do it, it's slightly damp. I roll it up because I don't want it all to be in there. I want it to be nice and taut. I take my fingers, I stretch it out, and now it's nice and taut. I realize there's a slight cut in the middle there where the paper towels come apart, but you should be able to handle it without that. Okay, so I'm going to take it, my white, give it a stir, make sure it is all ready to go. Decide which side I want to swipe from. It's going to be this side because I'm a lefty and it makes it easier for me. I'm going to put my white right across the top. Nice, good, thick swipe. Once again, we're going for the wintry look, so a little extra white doesn't help, doesn't matter at all. I'm going to grab my swipe tool here I'm going to lay it in my white, make sure that it's all the way across. You're not missing anything. And let's wipe it. I usually just turn this around the other direction and plop it on the sides because it has a lot of good color on it right there. So I'm just slapping it up against the side. So I can get some color on there. Of course, it's not going to all be perfect. I'll go back later and fix that. But ooh, that's a pretty one. Look at all those colors in there. That is going to be gorgeous when it dries. Keep in mind, everything dries a little bit darker than what you see when you have wet paint. So these bluish colors that you see in here that are pretty bright looking right now will darken up. I don't know if it'll darken up to the case of the other painting that I did, just for the reason that we all know you cannot duplicate a pour. But just in comparison, so here's what the other one looks like that we did. So there's going to be a little bit of variance. It might be a little bit brighter and whatnot, but like I said, you cannot duplicate a pour. You can always go back in with a little bit of washing, which we will do when we do the second part of this painting. Okay, everything is looking good. We have a few edges that we need to, looks like we need to fix and whatnot. Do our little finger pounds like we always do. Find some little extra paint that just came off the painting. Got a bunch down in there. Cover your edges. Make sure you get that all covered. That's looking really good on that side. What do we have on that side here? Got a few places that need to be taken care of there. Most of it's dripping away and doing well. Just pounce your finger on the areas that need a little bit of extra. Wonderful. Okay guys, that is part one of how we're going to do this painting. So we're going to let this dry. There was no need for me to do any tilting on this because it came out just the way I would want it to. Yes, it's going to be a little brighter blue than the other ones, but we'll take that down with some shading when we do the shading of the trees. So I thank you very much. I will be back in a few days to finish this painting up. Thanks guys, see you then. Hi everyone, how you doing today? This is Nancy with Pour Attitude and Other Arts. This is part two of the original painting that I did of the birch trees that everybody loves so much. Let me show you which one I'm referring to here. This one right here. So we are going to attempt to do this one again. So my painting has dried. It's been 4 days. It took a little longer than I thought it would. I wanted to make sure it was completely dry before I was drawing on it. The things you'll need for this part of the painting, you will need a marker of some sort. I use a white chalk. Knowing these are going to be white trees, it's easier for me. You can use whatever makes sense to you. That's what I use. I use a credit card to do some of my black markings on my trees. Either that, you can use any kind of card, but a card that's a little bit stiff works. I also have paint samples, and I can use these too, because I will cut off a piece of it to make a smaller pull on the black parts of it. You also need some clean water. You will need some black paint. You will need some white paint. My white paint at the moment has 50% Floetrol, 50% paint, and then I watered it down some because I want this to be more of a wash rather than a paint because I want the background to come through. So what I am going to do here, I also have a straight line. It's just a piece of metal that I got at Home Depot. I made it long enough that I can make nice straight lines even though I won't be using straight lines. This is just to give me an idea of where I'm going. So for this particular view of the trees, when you're looking at a tree, you're laying on the ground and you're looking up. When you do that, you see the large part of the tree come to the middle to make a smaller part. So that's basically what we're doing, but we're not basically laying down to see this kind of tree. We're going to be looking at it from afar, but it will be at an angle. So I know that I want a larger part of my trunk down here, and I have visually picked an area about 5 inches or so that my trees are all going to land, basically. The rest of it is abstract enough that you can imagine where the branches are going to go. So we're going to take my straight line here. I am going to put it where I believe I'm going to end up with my trees. Now, I'm going to start a little bit off the edge here. I don't want it to be identical to the other one. But this is where I'm going to land everything. So, I'm going to take my red chalk pen, and I am basically going to just do a line up to where I want it to land. Now it's faint, but I can see where the line is. Almost. Let's try that again on this side here. I need to sharpen my... And that's kind of the good thing about using a color that coordinates with your painting. You don't really have to wipe it away like you would on others. Now I want my base to be bigger than I want my top to be. So I am going to figure out, okay, well that looks good. I like about 4 to 5 inches there at the bottom. Figure out where my top is, which right there is where it is at the moment. So I am going to give it a nice area there for it to go up. So I have about 4 inches down at the bottom, and I have approximately 1.5 inches here up at the top. And I'm going to draw my line again. And this is going to be my very first tree. And I kind of want to set in where my trees are going to land. Yeah, that one you can see a little bit better. Now you want some trees in front, some trees in back. And it's going to go about right. I don't know. Let's just go with the same bottom there. And we will put in between. So I am going to put my second tree right here by this first one, but I'm going to give a little bit of separation as it goes up. It's going a little bit over the bottom line there, but then there's a very small separation. We're right up to the same area. We're going to the same area here. And I'm going to move that over a little bit. Move it over a little bit. This tree's not going to be very thick. So we're going to go, I don't know, about 1 inch at the bottom. about a 1/4 inch up at the top. And there's my second tree. So keep in mind we're going here. So I want to make sure that I can go from the other side to the same area. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in a larger tree on this side somewhere. So I think this is going to be, let's do it right there. I'm going to go in a little ways on the bottom here. And I'm actually using this line right here, not this one. All right. All right, so that's the outside on that side of the tree. And we're going to do the same over here. Give it a, oh, I don't know, 3 inches at the bottom, about 1 inch at the top. All right. So at the moment I have 1, 2, 3 trees drawn in. So I like to do things in odd numbers if I can. So we're going to go ahead and put the 4th one let's go put it right here. All right, right there. To the same circle that we are imagining of where our trees are going to land. And if they don't land exactly there, that's just fine. So now you got to decide, because sometimes it confuses you on which one is the tree and which one is the background. So at this point we have 1 tree right here. Okay, we have 1 tree right here, we have 1 tree right here, which means I have 1 line here. I need to make the second line for that tree. All right, so at 2 inches at the bottom, at a 1/2 inch top. All right. So as I said, I like odd numbers. So at this point we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 trees. I'm going to make the 5th one coming off the side here. So it's going to go quite a bit in. And it might just go over some other trees, and that's fine. This is just a chalk line. It can be erased very easily with just a little bit of paper towel and water. You don't even need that. I just sometimes lift my finger and do it that way. So keep in mind where that one is. So if you were imagining this going all the way to the bottom, which you can because you do have a straight line to imagine it for you, that gives you an idea of where you want this all to land. So this line is the line I am working on following here. All right, so we're going to do right there. All right, now they've all landed in approximately the same 5-inch area. Doesn't even have to be in the center. It could be over to the side. Mine are somewhat over to the side, which is fine. It doesn't even matter. It's your painting. All right. So now I have 1 tree, 2 trees, 3, 4, and 5. Do I want just 5? Do I want to kick it up a little more? No, I think I'll leave it at 5. Okay. Gotta make a decision. All right, so you can use whatever brush you would like to use. Have some paper towels ready. So you have something to sit stuff on if you need to. So I'm going to rinse this out a little bit. I used it to mix with. Okay, and we are going to be using our white paint first. So the paint that I use, and it can be whatever you have on hand. It can be good old, oh, the only one I do not recommend is the white apple barrel. Every other apple barrel color is okay, but the white one, for some reason, that seems to give everyone problems for whatever reason it is. So I am using actual just house paint, white house paint, Sherwin-Williams, Lowe's, Home Depot, it doesn't even matter. Walmart, doesn't matter. And I am going to take my brush and I'm left-handed, so I'm going to start with the farthest one, which doesn't even matter with left-handed. Start with the farthest one away from you so you don't put your hand over it. And I'm basically just going up the line I see here. Keep in mind, I'm not worried about whether I hit the line exactly. It doesn't matter, trees are not exact. So I am just continuing up this line so I can get a better idea of where my tree sits. This should all stay a little bit damp for you while you're doing this because you are going to use it to bring it in. And that line was a little faint, so I kind of made my own idea there. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna do the other side. I'll start from up here. And I'm basically just putting a line there. And if it looks like a really stark line, just spread it out a little bit, take it to the inside, which is what you're going to be doing anyway. Okay, and like I said, I was taking this tree over a little bit on the bottom. So I'm now running into, you know what, I am going to change paintbrushes here, make it a little bit easier for myself. Use that one to spread it out with. And we'll use this little pointy one just so I can get a better idea of where my line is. And I will continue to do that. Okay, so while that tree is sitting there, I want to take now a brush to bring this all in. So I am going to do that. And it's just really, really faint. If it's too thick for you and you can't see your tree through it, easy enough. Get a paper plate, put some of your paint on your paper plate, dip your brush in some water, mix it in, and now it'll be pretty faint for you. So as you can see on this side here, I'm just bringing the line in. And if it gets to be too much, just use a paper towel and wipe it off. No big deal. What really separates these trees when you get down to it are going to be the black lines. All right. So it's still a little bit too thick for me. I'm going to take some water and I'm going to go over that a little bit. Alright, so I'm just painting in the area there so you can see the tree. And if the line that you made previously starts to dry too quick, just go back in with some water, because you really don't want that line to be seen. But yeah, and I'm sure there's a better way to do it and whatnot, but this is my way of doing it. To start forming. Just bring it up to the top there. And see, now that's a little bit too white for me. So I am going to take my paper towel, dip it in my water, and I'm going to go down here with my paper towel, and I'm going to take some of that paint off. The paper towel's working quite well to spread it out. And right here it looks like it needs a little bit more white to blend in. Okay. Okay, like I said, what's going to separate the trees is going to be the black lines that we make. Okay, so now we're going to go on to tree 2. A little more white on my palette here. And I'm going to see about not having to go back over it quite as much this time. So I'm going to find where my line is here. Okay, so I'm going to start up there with my second tree. All right. And when you're happy with your trees, I really want another one, but we all know odd numbers is usually not as attractive as, or usually more attractive than even numbers are. Now I want you guys to notice there's little imperfections in here. That's no big deal. It's right where the trees are. You know, so that works out perfect. Okay, so now that we've done that part, now we're going to go back in with our black. As soon as I fix this other tree, I'm not happy how that looks. So I am going to take care of that. It looks like it's not gradually moving. It looks like I have too much of a line there. So I'm just taking it out a little bit. Basically with water, no big deal. Water on my finger. Okay. And now I'm going to be working with black. Okay, so we're going to take our credit card. We're going to put it in our mixture here. I'm going to go to my biggest tree, and apparently I'm doing a big line one here. So I'm going to put it up against the edge of where I want my tree, and I am just going to kind of pull it quickly, okay? So I don't want them all the same, right? So I am going to do this one off the edge. Now keep in mind when you do the trees, not all the black part is going to show in the very front. Some's going to be from the back and just have this little teeny part here showing. So when I did that right there, to me that shows that the other part of this is on the other side of that tree. So I'm going to do some of these larger ones here real quick. So you put them wherever you think you want. So here's some little teeny ones here, so it's just getting a wisp from the other side. Keep in mind, we're going to be doing the other side of that tree too, going the other direction, okay? So don't be putting them everywhere, because then you're going to have a lot of black in the tree, unless that's what you're looking for. So I want some smaller ones. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my little sample color card that I got from any place, Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart. And I'm going to put some of these small ones in. So let's do that. Okay. Now that one's kind of light to me. I'm thinking that maybe I want this just a little bit thicker. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour some of my straight on there. And I'm going to do that one over again. If you don't like what you've done, which I don't, I'm going to take a paper towel as usual. Good thing these are watercolor. And just take that baby right off. Knowing I'm going to put something else right there. It's not a big deal. Okay. Okay, so I want to use a little one again. And do try to wipe it off. If you're going to use the same one, you can use the same card for at least 3 or 4. It doesn't get too soggy at that point. Once again, Put it in, go up to where you're going to do it, press and grab. Okay, so I'm going to do another one up here, press and grab. Oop, that one got a little carried away. Take some paper towel, go in there. You can go the other direction. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, that'll work right there. All right, so I'm going to do a few more on this side here. Keep in mind that you want to have different lengths to them. Okay, now I'm going to do a few on the other side. I'll do one right here. There we go. Here's a nice big one. Okay, so I want a few really small ones too. So I'm going to take my card and just have about 3/4 of an inch there and do the same thing. All right, and like I said, you can do some really, really light ones. It brings out the trees a little better sometimes. All you're doing is taking the end and grabbing. It's okay, so I want a big one over here. So I'm going to do that. And I want one that is coming off the bottom here. There we go. All right. I think that I want a few right here. Just barely. There we go. Okay, now I'm just basically just dragging just a little bit over it, just so you can get a little bit of the black off of it. Okay, now that one doesn't make sense because that's not how they start. Not happy with that. So I'm going to take that out. I'll put something else right there so it doesn't mess up. There we go. All right. So I am going to call that one probably done and move on to my next tree. Right here, I think. And I'm doing the same exact thing, same motion as I did before. Take some on the other side here. Just down. Okay, now that one's too big for that tree. Way too big. So I'm going to take that off. That did not turn out the way I wanted it to. Like I said, take that baby right off, no big deal. And I think I'll even go with a smaller one. Keep in mind, I have this tree here going somewhat in front of that one. So it's going to have a little bit of a definition, but it kind of ends right there. So I'm going to wipe off a lot of this here. In there. Okay. See a lot of times the canvas itself is good for that. I'm just putting a few black marks in there. Are random. That will help find the trees. Barely touching the canvas here when I'm scraping on some of this. Okay. Okay, we got tree number 4. Looks like it's about done, except for a few little teeny ones I want to put in there. That one looks a little wasted already. I'm gonna tear off another piece. Use that. And just a few little ones here and there. So you can see the definition of the edge of the tree on that. Alright, I think I'm done with this tree, and I'm going to move on to tree number 5. Okay, so it's going to pick a spot and just go for it. People see where this tree's coming in. So I want to make sure I have some definition there on that. Okay, and as you can see, here's my line here. That's where the tree goes off the canvas. Okay, you guys, I want you to guarantee me that you guys are gonna, if you do this painting, please put it on our website and tag me in it. So I'll see it, because I want to see all your wonderful trees. I really do. So I expect people to please do that, because I want to see all of them, every single one of them. Okay, so right here is where it goes into the other tree. So I am going to put a line here so you can tell that's where this tree kind of goes behind it a little bit. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. I need to do one that's going to make it go over there. Alright, now I want another nice bigger one right here. There. That's what I'm looking for right there. Okay, back to a few little guys here and there. That looked a little funny to me. Now, even though this tree has gone off, there's still a little black that can go in here. So I'm gonna take this one here and do a little, just a little bit of scraping there to give it some black marks. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we got our 5 trees done there. The next step is going to be the branches for this painting. Hey everyone, this is Nancy with Poor Attitude and Other Arts. This is part 3 of my birch trees that you all love so much. We are going to do the branches today. So what I'm using is a little writer bottle. Has a fine tip on it. As long as it's diluted enough to get through the little tip, it works really well. So that's what I'm using. You can get these at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, online and Amazon. Haven't found any at Walmart yet, but many places sell these little writer bottles. Joann's. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start kind of in the middle of the canvas here, and I'm going to decide where my lowest tree is going to be, or branch is going to be. So I'm going to go with right here, approximately. To get the right perspective, most of the time, you do not want the branches to go down, okay? Unless with a different perspective, that's how they go. But with this particular perspective, they do not. So straight across is about the lowest that they go, maybe a little bit, just a little bit, but not much. From there, we'll build our branches up till we get to the top here, and there it's kind of in the clouds. All right, I always start with my largest tree, so that's going to be this one here. And that's about halfway down my canvas right at the moment. And so I'm just going to take my little writer. I'm going to first make sure that it writes, it comes out. It does dry out very quickly. So keep your little lid close if you're not going to be using it the whole time. So I'm going to make my first branch. And it's going to go right off the canvas, I think. Keep in mind you're going to be putting other colors on top of it, all right? So it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. I want it to be a little thicker, closer to the tree. And branches are not perfect, there's little wiggly lines. So I'm going to work on this tree for a while here. And it sits pretty much closest to me, so it's going to go over some of these smaller ones that I have here. Like these two here to me look like they're in the back. As does this one, because it looks like, which could be either way, it looks like it goes behind the tree, but then again, this is kind of an optical illusion that ended up right here. Because it looks like this one could be in front of it. So depending on where you put your branches will depend on where that one actually ends up. So I am just putting some branches out there right at the moment, just getting quite a few. And I'm just doing little leads off them. No big deal. Little tiny leads everywhere. Depends on how many you want to put out there. All right. So I am going to continue doing this for a while. And I'll probably just fast forward so you guys don't have to listen to me the whole time. That's all we're doing. To let them dry for a minute and I'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead and I let those dry so I can see where we are after I put the white on top to make it look a little bit wintry for me. So I'm going to go back over these same branches and just put some white on top. I am also using one of my little Writer squeeze bottles. Make sure you shake it up. Check it before you start. Make sure it makes a nice line for you. Sometimes it gets gooky in there. Okay, and all I'm doing is I'm just going back over what I already did. And I'm not putting it everywhere. I'm just kind of skimming over the top of it, and it kind of goes where it wants to go, kind of thing. Kind of weird at first, but after you start doing it for a while, it'll look like sitting on top of the branches here. Okay, so I'm going to start with this bottom one first so I don't put my hand in it. Does not have to be exact or abstract. Alright, well, that's all there is to this painting. Let it dry. Fix up little areas that you think might need a little bit of fixing up. And that is it. I thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in me doing more, please let me know, and I can show you some of my other paintings and how to do them. Thank you so much. Once again, Poor Attitude and Other Arts.net is where you can go to see some of my art. Thank you. Bye.